Right, okay. I am screen recording us, which is very sad, and you are screen recording me. Yeah. Okay. So, hello. We've had a nightmare, haven't we, with the tech? We were on Zoom trying to get recording, and we could either hear one or the other of us. So we are now on WhatsApp using our phones to record our computer screens separately.
Resourceful, Bernie.
It is resourceful, but we are not tech people, are we? We are person people. Yeah. Anyway, so I am Bernie, and I'm Full Life Celebrant, and the gorgeous other pink-haired lady that you see is Kate Moran, and she's in Stoke-on-Trent at her own chapel, the old Etruria. I know, I'm a bit jealous because I want one too, as you know.
Yes, so we've been open 18 months now, so I've been a celebrant for 4 years, and our local creme does 30-minute slots, and now they can have up to 16 services in there in a day, and I just think families wanted more. I didn't like taking words out of people's services, fading music, and we've got a wonderful crematorium in Northwich, which isn't that far away from us, that give hour slots, and they can have tea after if they want to and things, and I thought, we need something like that in Stoke, so I started looking for buildings. Off the randomest phone call found here, it wasn't even on the market. Knocked the door one January evening over a year ago now, and my landlord opened the door and I said hi. For funerals, and he said yes, so here we are.
I'm a little bit jealous because I'm really keen to do something similar to you here, partly for the reason that you have, that the council crems only allow 20-minute slots, but mainly for a different reason to you, because of where I live demographically. All our crematoria are a good hour and a half, even 2 hours from where I'm based, which means that when a family are saying goodbye to their person, they feel that they have to do that so far away from anything that is relevant to that person. So, I mean, crematoria mean nothing to the family anyway, but then you add with that it's not even in their town, city, community, and that every single member of the congregation is having to get in a car and travel for an hour and a half for 20 to 40 minutes to then get back in the car and travel back to have a drink and at a wake is ridiculous.
But I think people's perception. So when we first opened, one of the first questions that anybody asked us was, well, how does that work? You've not got a crematorium round the back. And what we do here, so there's different ways that you can do it. So sometimes the family will go off and do a private committal, so they will go to the creme, just the family, and they will do the committal there. If it's a burial, obviously they go on for burial after the service. But what most families do here now is they leave their person with me, just as you would if you walk out the creme with the curtains open. And then they are transported to Birches, which is probably about 25 minutes away from where we are. And the cremation takes place there. So it is an unintended cremation.
Yeah.
They've said everything that they want to say in the chapel.
Well, I think it's only the same, isn't it? I view it, because I think you mentioned that it was like doing a back-to-front service, but it's not really even that, is it? Because when you're at a crematorium, you say everything you want to say, or you say everything you want to say into your 20 minutes, 40 minutes, and then someone presses a button, the curtains close, and everyone walks out. So why not take your person to a hotel or an independent location like your gorgeous chapel, and everyone wave them off in a car, or just and then you're already there, and you can even have the wake there, so you say all the things you want to say, surrounded by the people you love and the person that you're saying goodbye to, and then they go off for their direct cremation, and you are there to have a drink and raise a toast and share stories in a relaxed and less formal way, but in the same location, and with that location being close to where that person, your person lived, or within the community that person was or you are, that meets meaningful to them. And that can be your beautiful chapel in Stoke-on-Trent, or it could be the local pub, or or a rugby ground, or a football club, or someone's house, and it's not a back to front service. It's a service where, instead of everyone leaving the person behind, the person is escorted, chauffeured away for their direct cremation. It also helps us get around that whole thing where families have find that their person has already pre-booked a direct cremation, and they don't know when that is or where that is or whatever, and they have no means of ritualizing their loved one. They can do that this way round at another's.
Yeah, absolutely. Like last week we had a service in here, and it was the service came to me from the back of a service that we did a few months ago. So the lady had attended, or I think she might have watched on Zoom, the service here, and her mum passed away, and they had a direct cremation done, and I went out to see her. I picked up her mum and dad's ashes.
Mm-hmm.
We sorted some really beautiful scatter tubes for them,
mm-hmm.
and they came in here last Friday for a memorial service, celebration of life, whatever you want to call it. It was fabulous. So they came in the doors, there was a big table laid out with champagne flutes, bottles of Bollinger, tea, coffee, biscuits. She'd had the florist in. You can probably, I don't know if you can see behind me, we've got a couple of floral things there, like flowers.
Right.
They'd had the florist because she'd lived in Africa for years, so we had big, beautiful African-inspired flowers, bouquets around the place, and we had a sideboard at the front with all of loads of her things on. So there was photos of her, there was ornaments that she loved, and her ashes were there with her husband. And we had a beautiful service. Everybody raised a toast. They had a glass of champagne while we were chatting, and it was lovely, and it was so relaxed, and there was loads of photos on the screen, loads of music we loved, and the family just were like, that was amazing. It was so nice. And it's we've done quite a lot of that now, where the cremation has taken place before the service, and we've had ashes here. I mean, we've done. There was one family that we helped, that the cremation took place at 9 o'clock in the morning, and we actually waited at the creme for the ashes, and then brought him into chapel in the afternoon for the service. So it was all done in one day.
How lovely!
So didn't want to wait for 7 days for the ashes back. They wanted them. They didn't want to leave their boy, so we did it all in one day. And it was amazing. Yeah,
and I did. I've done a few where I don't have the luxury yet of having my own space, but yet is the big word, because I really, really want at some point to have my own space within the pack, because there's nowhere in my community that has a space for this. There is no crematorium in Powys. There's no, and so people can't say bye in their own county here, So, and I know it's a massive county, and so this space where I am or near where I am, it may not be relevant. But what I would like is to have my own space here. But I have done several memorials or even funerals where we have used a relevant local space, and the person has been with us in that hotel room. So we've had the coffin in the hotel, and we've spent an hour and a half having the service. And then in that instance, the lovely lady we were saying goodbye to was buried in the garden at their home. So we then went back and home, took her home and did the burial there. But we had a good long hour-and-a-half service there. And on another occasion, I did a service for a very interesting gentleman who'd passed away while he was abroad. And because he was very keen on natural burial and was very anti-embalming and this, that and the other, they found a lovely natural burial ground where they were, because he was a Taoist in his faith, so location we are one planet, so it didn't matter to him where his physical body was. And then we arranged for the local community hall where he was to have a service, a memorial service, exactly like yours. We had his art collection, we had a display of his art and his writings, we had a screen with a rolling display, everyone had a chance to speak, and then everyone bought food, and we had a little party of the wake, a celebration with food and drink afterwards. So we had the very formal bit where I was facilitating and delivering the service. Everyone had time to speak. I think we were there 3 hours, and it was just that gift of time was so valuable to that family.
Yeah, and I think this needs to be normalised, Bernie, because it's not normal to do that. It's not. What is normal is we all trundle off to the creme, we have our 20-minute service, we out outside for, watching the next funeral coming in, and then off we trot to the pub. Yeah. And for some families, that's fine, and that's what they want, and that's okay. Yeah. But for a lot of families that I work with, it's not fine, it's not okay. Yeah. And as you I think you said, when we were chatting earlier, you did a service yesterday 2.5 hours away from where you live. Yeah. So everybody travel. Imagine 100 people attending that funeral. Travel. 150 hours going for 2.5 hours.
Insane.
Drive 2.5 hours back. It's insane. Think about
it's insane. In our location, it is insane. I mean, my nearest creme for here, as I've told you before, is over an hour away. That's the nearest crematorium to us, and and my furthest one is the one I facilitated a goodbye in yesterday, which was for me 2.5 hours. And for the family, it was a good it was 2 hours. So it wasn't like I was travelling somewhere because they'd chosen me because I'm so wonderful but I'm outside of the area. I mean, I am that wonderful, obviously, but but it was it just is the demographics here are such that it's like that. So normalising the idea that we say our goodbyes with the person at a location that isn't a chapel of rest or a church or a crematorium, and the person comes with us to wherever they're celebrating, makes a lot of sense. Also for the locations we're suggesting that they might use, you were saying, economically it makes a lot of sense to them, because quite often they only use their venue of an evening or part of the time. So why not in a hotel allow? The way everything is at the moment, the hospitality industry are struggling. The people aren't going out and going for that pint after work and all that kind of stuff anymore, or Monday night, so they're not going out for a meal. Brilliant way of a hotel or a pub with a room or something. It's a great way for them to bring more in. And how wonderful.
Tuesday at 11 o'clock, probably nothing.
And how wonderful for a person, if that was their favourite pub or their favourite rugby club or their favourite wherever, to have their final goodbyes surrounded by the people they love in that space, and raise that final glass with them there, and then see them off, wave them off. It seems like a really more joyful, more appropriate, more relevant part of their story, rather than a process becomes part of their story.
Yeah. I mean, here, what we tend to do after the service is finished here is the coffin stays in place. So we've got like a wheel beer with a nice velvet cover that they rest on during the service. And as soon as the service is finished, I run out the back, bring the tea urns through, everybody has a cup of tea, everybody has a biscuit. We've got a great caterer that comes in, so people can have sandwiches, sausage rolls, all that kind of stuff. So they can do that here. And, you know, I've got a big tub of Sharpies on my desk.
Yeah.
So, again, every family, I always ask them after the service, do you want to write a message on your mum, dad, sisters, brothers, whatever, coffin for them to take on their final journey?
Lovely.
With them? Probably like 80% of families do that.
Yeah.
We've had grandchildren in, drawn pictures on their gran or granddad's coffin, and, you know, we've got a big box of Lego up the back for kids, and it's just really relaxed. So there's none of that ushering you out. There's somebody waiting outside to get in. It's giving families time.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, that is a bit alien, the way that we're doing things here.
Yeah.
Is not normal.
But that gift of time is so precious. So precious. But the other thing you said there was just really interesting, because I've just written a piece for the British Institute of Funeral Directors along with Dinah Liversidge, who is just brilliant, you know. We wrote about inclusivity and things like having a quiet corner in the area with Lego or things for kids, so that they can that they have permission to play and move around, you know, and having those little spaces where people can get away, just, you know, making it more less stressful, more inclusive, more accessible to everybody, not just because of its proximity to where someone was, but because we can be more flexible with how we deliver what we're delivering.
You know, we had a lady breastfeed upstairs the other day. Not that it would have mattered if she was in the chapel or not, but she felt that she could do that, so she just went upstairs into the gallery and sat with the baby. But we've got a bit of a thing here, Bernie, with mice in our chapel. So when we first opened, I was bought a little mouse, and my friend said, you can't have a chapel without a church mouse. And it's kind of escalated a little bit. So we've now got 7 mice. They're obviously not real, so don't panic. They're not running about eating the biscuits. But again, children are in. We've got a mouse hunt. 7 mice in this chapel.
Oh.
They end up running around after the service trying to find all the mice who were hidden them all over the chapel. Yeah. Please keep buying me mice, like, after services. So
that is a really lovely thing.
So it's really lovely, but, you know, being able to use a space how you want and not be worried about time.
Yeah.
And not be, if Auntie Vera decides she wants to get up and say a few words, you know, I know, you know, how long is she going to talk for? I've still got the Lord Prayer to do. There's just none of that, and that needs to be normalised. But what is lovely after the service is finished, obviously I'm milling around, filling up coffee, moving cups and things like that, and what I hear is it tends to always be a mother and a daughter. And it's usually, I always stand by the door as everybody's leaving and say cheerio to everyone. And usually the mother's like nudging the daughter, going, right, so, and she'll say to me, I've told her that I'm coming here when it's my time. That was lovely. You know, and people have said, I didn't know how to feel about having a sandwich and a cup of tea with a coffin right there. They're like, but it actually wasn't weird. I'm like, I know, until you've done it, you think it's a bit weird. Yeah. But actually, it's very comforting for a lot of people.
I think so. I think this all stems back to the fact that we have become so disassociated with the process of dying and death, haven't we? It's all been kind of removed from us. It used to be very normal to sit with the dying and to sit with the deceased and to visit with the deceased and have time to cleanse them yourself or dress them yourself or visit them after they've died, and that is much less common in the last 100 years or so, because of the way that the industry has become an industry rather than a part of life. Death is a part of life, but it's become an industry instead, which has made things made us a bit detached from it, and a lot of people perhaps don't even know. I mean, here we are talking as two pink-haired celebrants, but what we do. But basically, we'll write a service alongside a family and be as flexible as we can. But we spend a lot of our time when we're delivering a service that is in the traditional way at a crematorium or in a church, making sure that it fits into the time slot. So we have to know exactly what everybody who wants to speak wants to say, so we can time it. Wouldn't it be nice if you can then open the floor, which is what I've done when it's been in a hotel? I've said, is anyone now feel inspired to say something? I know you didn't get the opportunity to be asked before, but there's no pressure. But if you want to come up and say something now, there's time for you to do that. And people who hadn't.
Yeah, 100%. We did a service here for a gentleman who'd written a book on non-conformist chapels in the UK, and he'd actually come to our open day.
Wow.
Remembered him, and the service was held here, and it was so lovely. And they had a kind of Quakerism faith, so and at Quaker funerals there's a period of silence, and people are encouraged to say something or speak. And I think it was like 5 minutes of quiet, but we put like a silent slideshow on during the first 5 minutes, and the second 5 minutes was opened up for people to speak. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, that's like a lot of time to be quiet, because it is a lot of time to be quiet. But actually everybody just fell into it. And it was really beautiful, and a couple of people did speak, and not everybody, but it was so wonderful. And again, there was no pressure for people to say something if they didn't want to, and but if 10 people had wanted to speak, it wouldn't have mattered. It just wouldn't have mattered. So it was really lovely. And we did, I think that one was, I'm going to call it a back to front, so the family had been to the creme first,
right,
done a quick committal, and then met everybody here in the chapel, again teas and coffees afterwards. So just being able to open the floor to families and say, if anybody does want to say it, then you're welcome to do that. You can't do that in a 20-minute slot, because Uncle John might want to get up and start talking for 20 minutes. Not got a service.
And also, people think they don't want to speak, and then they do, or if they're or they're not quite sure what they want to say, and they want the opportunity to free flow, and they can't at a creme because we cannot afford to let them run over. So, which is a real shame. And I think whilst it's not it's the first of many a life of remembering and reflecting and honouring the person they're saying goodbye to, a lot of people want to make sure that they say their thing at that official event. And I'm always saying to people, this is not the last time you're going to have to honour your every time you tell a story about your person, you are honouring and remembering them and sharing their story, and they're living on, but they still feel that need there. But at the time that they have to decide whether they're going to or not, they might not feel like it. So having this more flexible gift of time and flexibility that you're offering, I'm looking to offer. And a lot of the colleagues we know, we have a lot of like-minded colleagues who want to offer something a bit more flexible, a bit more inclusive, a bit more, I call it gifting time. I can't remember what you call it. You say something similar, don't you? But it's like, it's the gift of time and acceptance, and if we can raise awareness of that and have more people using either a back to front service, so doing something if their family have had a direct cremation, giving them the option to have a celebration, memorial, remembrance in a space, back to front, whatever you want to call it, or to have it in the traditional order of things, where the person comes to a different location, your chapel, a hotel, as I said, or anywhere, and you have the service, and then you wave them off, or you go off. It's just seems to me to make much more sense. And in this time that we are in, where we were finding people pressured to buy, to not be a burden, and you find out they've bought a direct cremation, and people are losing that opportunity to ritualize when someone dies.
That is hard.
It's really,
and I think we memorial service. I call them memorial services. Call it what you like.
Yeah.
But I think they are becoming more common. So I do a lot of services now with ashes present instead of the person.
Yeah.
And that's for a whole number of reasons. Sometimes the family just don't want to go through that whole traditional thing. We did a service here for Ashley, and he was a shooter, so he all his friends were here. It was a sea of tweed that day. It was a sea of, but it was amazing because the florist came in. She'd actually gone to Ash's house and picked up a lot of the pheasant feathers from the birds that he'd actually shot, and they were all put into floral tributes. And, it was so nice to just have that time and it not being rushed. And again, the feedback that we got after that was, didn't know that. They thought it might be a bit weird, but everybody was like, it was amazing. It was so lovely. So I think really the message is, don't be scared of these things.
No.
Because as well, if people are going to get up and speak, if they're in a more relaxed environment, they're more likely to do it, more confident about doing it, rather than you've got a bitch standing up the back kind of looking at their watch.
Absolutely, and they're thinking, I don't know if I want to, and it's a big deal. The other thing that you said, I think you said it to me earlier, or I'm sure you did, about how this is a good opportunity for our funeral directors that we work in partnership with so often, because they have to, certainly here, they have to travel all of that way for the 20-minute service with, if they could have the opportunity to bring a family's deceased to a less time critical space, and then they can be the people who then chauffeur that person to the crematorium afterwards for the direct cremation. It gives them something else that they can offer to their clients. I think and
I think one of the funeral directors that uses us a lot. Her name's Sam. She works for WR Bettley here in Stoke, and she's been a massive supporter of the chapel because she saw right away what a lovely thing it is for families to be able to do. And and again, she's getting a lot more business now because there's because families have been to a service here, and then people are loving it, and then so it's all about giving families choice, and not saying you've got to have 20 minutes. Our local crematorium is really expensive. It's a 30-minute slot, so 20-minute service, 30 minutes. If you want an extra 15 minutes, it's £200. It's just such a lot of money. And the level of service that what you're getting for your money is just not. It's not that would be a good value.
I think it's because there's a lack of competition, and that's the way everyone does it. So it's less competitive. Whereas if you obviously there are costs involved in cremation, so there are cremation costs anyway, and you're going to have those if you're having a cremation anyway. But to book a room somewhere or use your chapel and have as much time as you need, an hour, 2 hours, whatever it is, is just a lovely way to offer that without people going, I know you suggest that it's an hour, but if it ran over 20 minutes, you wouldn't be going, right, that's 20, you owe me another 500 quid.
And I'm not the funeral directors either, so a lot of crematoriums actually charge if you run over, or some crematoriums charge if you arrive late. So there's none of that here. At the moment, we tend to only do one funeral a day. I think we've done one day that we've had two. It's been one in the morning and it's been one in the afternoon. Nobody crossed over. You know, and I would always book that time to turn the chapel back round, get all the cups washed, and get ready for the next family. There wouldn't be anybody.
2 a day's plenty, isn't it? To allow to gift that time and to gift that flexibility to families, morning, afternoon, maybe evening. Do you know? You could have an evening one.
We've done weekend services here, so again, memorial service that we did for a young gent. I helped the family. He actually died up in Scotland, and I helped the family arrange a direct cremation there. They brought his ashes back. We opened on a Sunday. They were a Ukrainian family, absolutely gorgeous, very spiritual. We had, I don't know if you can see these posts here. We had bits of tree onto the post.
Lovely.
Coming way out with photographs hung all over, and then everybody was take a photo home with them. We had a Ukrainian flag. We had lots of these things. Lots of people spoke. We had Ukrainian music. We had somebody sing a Ukrainian lullaby.
Wow.
And then the food, like I tell you, oh my goodness, there was so much food. And the whole community came together, brought lots of food. We were probably in here for, I don't even know, I think I got here at 9 in the morning. I think I got home about 7 o'clock at night by the time I did everything. But they had a loaf of bread that again was traditional, that people were breaking the bread, and it was just amazing.
And you raised an important point there, though, about the fact that they could personalise the space. And with a hall or a chapel that like yours, the family can come before and personalise the space. I mean, the most you can do at a crematorium is take a photo on an easel, really, or some flowers. But like the idea that you would like a wedding, almost make the space unique to your celebration of your person, you know, with you know, I'd love that, putting the trees and you know, wrapping things around the poles that you've got up in there and everything. It's just lovely.
We did a service here, it was either last week or the week before, where I'm just going to grab something to show you. Hang on a second. So the family had actually brought little jam jars of flowers, and we put them down at the end of each row.
Oh,
beautiful. So obviously I love that idea. We do have, unfortunately, silk flowers in the chapel, just because I can't afford to have fresh flowers.
One day we'll get there one day. So we've got silk flower arrangements there, so I had some left over, so I've just made some little jam jars. I'm going to put some ribbon and stuff around it, not quite finished. Just with some leftovers from the big, you know, I don't know what they're called. I was going to call them a podium, but it's not a podium, is it? Pedestal. That's the word. Pedestal flowers. So I had some left over, so we've just put them. They're down at the end of every row. There's a box of tissues at the end of every row, because again, who forgets tissue? Everybody, don't they? Because you're just thinking clearly. And you know, we've got a big blackboard beside here that says "Celebrating the Life of," and they have their name up there. So again, that family walk-in, I've generally always had contact with the family, even though I don't do a lot of the services here. A celebrant does. The funeral director is welcome to bring any celebrant that they want. Oh, sorry, Bernie. Went a bit crazy there. You know, the family have had contact with me. I've done the slideshows for them. There's just been lots of things, you know, personal touches there, and I think that's really important. The family feel cared for, they feel important, they feel heard, and unrushed. It's the unrushed, I think, you know, it's just so, that is the biggie for me, is just being able to tell people they can have as long as they need. And it's not much more than a creme. But the fact that they're not clock watching puts a very different feel on it. It might still only be 20 minutes, half an hour, but it's a relaxed 20 minutes, half an hour.
And then that cup of tea afterwards takes that. And half, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So and they, and sometimes we do have a lot of families that still go off and they'll go to the pub and they'll have whatever there, but more and more families now are just staying here. So people aren't having to, if you take one of your services, for example, you're travelling an hour and a half to the creme, 20 minutes at the creme, an hour and a half back, then you go to the pub, then so if it's just all in one place, it's just easy for everyone.
Yeah, and it's stressful, isn't it? The exit, having the journey, worrying if you're going to be late arriving, this, that, and the other, all of those things. I mean, at least if it's in a hall and you say it's going to be 1 o'clock, I don't know, 11 o'clock, whatever. If it starts 10 minutes late, it doesn't matter. If you go, can you hang on a minute? So and so's just running. Yeah, no problem. We'll just hang around for a bit. We'll have, And if they have like I mean, I'm in Mid Wales and there's lots of farmers and there's a drinking culture and this, that, and the other. If there's a bar in the place that you're under and the people want to have a drink, they can have it, or they can sit with a cup of tea. Why not? I think there needs to be. We need to stop saying this is how it's done, and instead be going, what do you need as a family? What would feel right for your person and you to make this feel like it's really representative of that, authentically of you and that person, and tells their story fully and openly, and that can be anything then.
Yeah, and do you know what? For some families, 20 minutes at the creme, everybody wearing stripes, that's what they want, and that is absolutely fine. So I think we're not trying to, although we are trying to change funerals, we're not trying to change everybody's funeral.
No. There is nothing wrong with wanting to have everyone in black, traditional, church, crematorium, set time, structure.
I don't wear black very often, but the family have asked that, that I wear black for a service that I did this morning, so I'm happy to do that. I can't change my hair colour. Oh,
I dyed my hair a different colour. I dyed my hair purple for a lady whose favourite colour was purple, so I wore purple and dyed my hair purple for her service. Yeah. I don't often, but you can see it needs doing.
It's not pink. It's got to be pink. It's my brand.
Yeah. Well, mine is. My lot got very upset. I went blue for about a week, and everyone got very upset. I was there at the National Funeral Exhibition, blue, and everyone was very upset with me about it. There's something about the pink. I won't do it again.
Stop getting everyone pairing. You don't get everyone.
I think we just need to keep working on spreading the word about giving people more choice and thinking outside of I hate saying norm, because there's no such thing as norm. The fact that there is a norm means that most people are either side of it. To get something that's average in the middle, you have to have people who want something. Most people want something different, and you're just finding the average. So I think being able to cater for the uniqueness of every single person in a way that reflects them is what I'm all about, what you're all about, and and bring it all back into touch and let people express what they need and want at the time. I mean, what they want often is not to be saying goodbye to their person, but what they want in terms of the best way of doing that is.
Yeah. 100%, and I think that first port of call tends to be with the funeral directors. So if the funeral directors are in the habit of saying burial or cremation, cremation, what creme do you want? Right, have it limo. Yeah. Instead of saying, how do you see? Yeah. Your send off loved one.
Yeah. I think, the funeral directors are so busy, and the tradition and the way that things have been done they've had a lot of changes to deal with over the last few years with everything. But I think trying to suggest to them that there is a group of celebrants who are prepared to do things differently and offer things differently for them. Yeah. Which means they can offer something better or something alternative or more choice to their families, so everybody's service is enhanced. Everyone's a winner there. So it's just really raising awareness, and people can come to us directly, of course, and we can work with them to make sure what they need.
now that I'm getting a lot of people do come to me directly if somebody has died, and I am now place them with funeral directors.
Yeah.
So that is happening now here.
Yeah.
So people might have come to one of the services here, and a loved one's died, and I will get a message, 10 o'clock at night on the chapel's page. My mum's just passed away. Can you help me? I'm like, yeah, of course I can. What do you need?
Yeah.
How can I help you? Do you need a funeral director? Yeah, okay, well, these are some of the funeral directors around you that I work with that are really good, that will, look after you. And I'm starting to place families, so it's kind of almost now.
Yeah.
That's happening a lot too now.
And we're already talking. I mean, I started getting people who've got me in their will as the person they want to be their celebrant.
Yeah.
Well, well, hopefully, I keep reminding people that we're probably about the same age, and that probably won't be me. It's like, but it's really nice that people kind of can do that. Sorry.
I said you never know, you might get hit by a number 25 bus tomorrow.
Well, you just have to live for the moment. Be where you're at now. Be present in the moment. Honestly, Kate, it's so lovely to speak to you, and I know I'm going to see you in person at the weekend, so I'm blessed this week. I get you twice. So good. Yay! But yeah, so we'll have it. I'll give you a proper cwtch when I see you, a nice Welsh cwtch.
Yeah, I love one of them.
Oh, lovely to speak to you.
Fair. It's so lovely to speak to you.
It's been fabulous. Thank you. I'm going to my high-tech recording device is going off. Bye.